Salvete, my name is Dwane Thomas. I am the teacher at visuallatin.com, and from time to time I get questions from my students, and I thought I'd take some time today to answer a few of them. So number one, Mr. Thomas, do you like cats? What does that have to do with Latin? Mr. Thomas, do you wear your sunglasses at night? Yes. It helps me keep track of visions in my mind. Mr. Thomas, at what age should I start using Visual Latin? Forget the rest of those. I'm going to take this one. This is a good one. I recommend you start at age 10. Here's why. Visual Latin teaches the difficult grammar of Latin in a lighthearted and hopefully a happy way. However, it does get tough. So we've had some students start at 8 or 9. They were eager, and they did well for a while. But you know what? It does get tough. It climbs. So we find that the maturity level that you have reached at the age of 10 is probably just about right. That student's been through, or you've been through 3rd or 4th grade at that point. You know a little bit about English. You know a little bit about English grammar. And you're now going to encounter grammar in another language, in Latin, and it's a rather difficult grammar. So you need some background before you head into that. Then if you study for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, by the time you get to high school, you should have a mastery of Latin grammar, and that's extremely useful because at that point, then you can go study a modern language, and you've already got a lot of the basics knocked out. There's so many things you already know about languages because Latin kind of teaches you, well, it actually does teach you, in a way, the structure of languages and the way languages work. It's a very valuable language for learning how languages in general work. So at age 10, if you start then, before you even reach high school here in the United States, or if you're international, before you reach upper school levels, you've already got a good grasp on the Latin language and on languages in general. Can you be too old to use Visual Latin? Okay, honestly, I tell some pretty lame jokes in the series. And I say some pretty ridiculous things. Remember, I'm trying to teach Latin in a lighthearted and enjoyable way. So if you can get beyond that, you're not too old to learn Latin using Visual Latin. Because here's the thing about Visual Latin. Even though I joke around a lot and I have some fun, it's a serious course. I actually am taking you through some of the most difficult aspects of Latin. So if you're brand new, if you're 25 or 55 or 75 and you've never learned Latin before, well, guess what? You got to start at the beginning. So you can either pick up a book from the library and just plow through it, but sometimes you may not have time to read, or if you're like me, you fall asleep while reading, and you may just want to watch a video, during lunch, or watch a video in the evening while you're enjoying some ice cream, chocolate. That might be an alternative way for you to learn the difficult Latin grammar rather than sitting down and reading. If you're anything like me, when I sit down to read a book that's not fiction or exciting, I fall asleep. So it would take me forever to learn a language by reading alone. I use YouTube a lot for Spanish, for example, because I'm learning Spanish. So I sit down and while I'm doing something else, eating or ironing clothes, I watch a Spanish video. You could do that at any age. So all you got to do is get past some of the humor that I use in Visual Latin. And definitely, you're not too old to use Visual Latin because the content is serious content, even though it's delivered in a lighthearted way. So too old? No. Too young? Yes. Wait till you're about 10 years old.